ladies and gentlemen, like Richard Nixon working on his memoirs, desperately trying to come up with chapter headings that don't involve the word crook. This is the Discriminating Gamer. My name is Cody. Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago I decided to talk about some of my favorite game companies and some of my favorite games these companies produce. And I was just thinking about that. It's something I'd like to do again. The last time I did it, I had 11 companies. This time I've got 16 companies. Now, very quickly, these will be presented in alphabetical order. I am not ranking these companies. I am simply presenting you these companies in alphabetical order, telling you what the companies are and what my favorite games they make are. I'm going to try for my number one favorite game. I may hit on some others. I can't stop myself. But I just want to talk to you about that briefly. Now, also, too, my criteria here is these companies, in order to get on this list, I had to have played at least 3 games from these companies in order to put them on the list. So that was a must. Now, there's a few companies out there that I have played 3 or more games from, but for whatever reason, I just did not include them on this list. It was getting too long. I was scared this video was going to run too long as it is, so I thought, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about these companies, these 16 companies, and some of my favorite games they produce. So, first of all, I'm going to start with AEG, Aldrich Entertainment Group. They produce a lot of great games. Of course, the Tempest series here I absolutely love. Dominaire is probably my favorite of the series. Dominaire is a very, very fun game. It's kind of a Euro game where you're competing factions, trying to gain control of the city of Tempest, and it's just the ways the scores change is great, and how you're using cubes to try to take over different sections of the city. I absolutely love that game. Second is probably Courtier. Courtier is fantastic too. That's the first game in the series. And Courtier, of course, you're competing for kind of the favor of the queen. You're using different courtiers in the court to try to influence her and get these petitions fulfilled that will get you the most points. Really fun game. And there's a lot more good ones from Aldrich Entertainment Group, but that's AEG. Number 2, I'm going to take a look at Columbia Games. And Columbia Games is, they do primarily war games. They do some other fun things as well. I'd have to say my favorite game from Columbia Games, I'm probably going to go ahead, and I'm going to say Julius Caesar. I really like Julius Caesar. It's a 2-player block war game in which one of you is Julius Caesar, one of you is Pompey, and you're fighting throughout the Mediterranean. You're trying to get the favor of Cleopatra because she can lend strength to one side or the other. But it's just a good, solid, interesting, and fun block war game. I really like Julius Caesar. I also like Victory in Europe. That's a bit of a longer game. It's more of a World War II game, and that one was very fun as well. I also recently enjoyed The Last Spike, which component-wise wasn't great, but it was a really fun game. I really enjoyed The Last Spike. It's kind of a race to complete the Transcontinental Railroad, and it was a lot of fun. So that is Columbia Games. Now, coming in next, I want to talk about Cool Mini or Not. Cool Mini or Not has put out a lot of really fun games. I have to say that currently, my favorite game from Cool Mini or Not is Zombicide Black Plague. That is the latest iteration of the Zombicide franchise, and it really brought some new and fun components and characters and rules to the game of Zombicide. I really quite enjoyed it. I've been playing it a few times with some friends of mine recently, and it's just consistently a good and fun game. Cool Mini also put out a game a while ago called Queen's Necklace, which was a card game. It was a reprint. Another company put it out initially, but I played that, and I was surprised how much I liked that game, Queen's Necklace. You're buying different cards. It's almost like a deck builder, but it's not really a deck builder. Anyway, that's a fun game too. But Zombicide Black Plague, I'm going to say that's my favorite currently from Cool Mini or Not. Next up, I want to take a look at Cryptozoic Entertainment. Cryptozoic Entertainment, of course, they've got the DC Comics deck building game, which I really, really enjoy. DC Comics deck building game continues to grow and expand. They have, of course, different iterations of it. They got the Teen Titans, Forever Evil with the bad guys. They've also got a lot of crisis packs, which make the game a little more cooperative. They've got different expansion packs. They recently had the Watchmen expansion pack, little expansion pack that added like a hidden trader element was one of the things you could do with it. So really enjoy the way that game continues to evolve. So DC Comics deck building game. They also did kind of with that same deck building engine, Power Play, which was a hockey game. with a deck builder. That was a lot of fun. Of course, the Lord of the Rings. That was a lot of fun. The different Lord of the Rings games in that kind of with that deck building engine, the Cerberus engine as well. So that's Cryptozoic. Again, some really good stuff there. Next, the fifth one I want to look at is Days of Wonder. Days of Wonder, they've put out just some tremendous titles over the years. My favorite, of course, probably... Gosh, this is tough. Shadows over Camelot. Shadows over Camelot by a hair. I love Shadows over Camelot. I love the hidden traitor aspect of Shadows. It's just a consistently fun game every time I play it. The one that just narrowly beat out is Memoir 44. Of course, I'm a history guy, and I absolutely love Memoir as just a fun, light history game, historical war game that is easy to play. And there's some some fun adventures you have with that game. Also, like, of course, Ticket to Ride, which is always a lot of fun. That is Days of Wonder. Next up is Fantasy Flight Game. I'll tell you right now, Fantasy Flight Game, the last couple of years when I've done my top 100 games, they have dominated the top 10 spot. Fantasy Flight Games has consistently put out some really good stuff. Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition remains probably probably about it. Twilight Imperium is my favorite game for Fantasy Flight Games, hands down. There's so many others, too many to name. Battlestar Galactica, the board game, Fury of Dracula, which they just did an amazing reprint of, and of course Star Wars Rebellion, which just came out recently as well, which is the Star Wars movies in a box. Also love X-Wing and Armada, great Star Wars games. The seventh one I want to look at is Gale Force 9. Gale Force 9 has done some really fantastic IP stuff lately. My favorite game, though, hands down, is Firefly the game. I love Firefly the game. The original game was a little too much like everybody's playing their own solo game, but then as they came out with the expansions and they made there's a little bit more conflict there, I really like that as well. But it's a game that really, I think, in a very solid way captures the theme of its IP. I also really enjoy Sons of Anarchy, the game. Like Firefly was a TV show I really liked a lot. And I think Sons of Anarchy, the game, it's kind of a worker placement game with combat. It's a lot of fun. Even if you don't like the TV show, you should check out that game. It's really cool. I also liked Homeland, the game, which was a TV show I had not seen until I played the game. And then I really enjoyed the TV show. And I really enjoyed the game. It's almost like Battlestar Galactica, just the crises keep happening, and how are you going to solve the crises? Very great games. That's Gale Force 9. Next up is GMT. GMT is a great company. Again, this is a company that primarily are really quite known for its war games, though they do more than just their war games. Again, Twilight Struggle. This is the epic Cold War game. Really love Twilight Struggle. 2-player. It's just... I've said 100,000 times on the show, the best games are games that force you to make tough decisions. I don't think there is a game out there that does it better. The way this game forces you to make the best of bad decisions is consistently entertaining. It's consistently just wants you to put your head through a wall. It's so frustrating, but it is so much fun. It is so rewarding when you can make it work. And there's a real bluffing, a real personality thing in that game as well that I absolutely love. That and 1989, which is kind of its sister game, if you will, does the same thing there. That about the fall of the Soviet bloc in 1989. Other great games came out with Churchill just last year, which is a great kind of three-way diplomatic game, kind of the diplomatic conferences during World War II. Space Empires 4X is a brilliant science fiction war game. I also love Talon. Talon is kind of in the same universe as Space Empires, but Talon is more of kind of a tactical game, whereas Space Empires is a little more epic. But they're both tremendous space war games, and I recommend them. But Twilight Struggle, still number one in my heart from GMT. So Indie Boards and Cards is a great company, and The Resistance Avalon, to be specific, is my favorite game from them. I love the game. I love the Merlin and the Assassin, and I know they've done the cards and the expansions, so you can do that with the original game as well. But I love this game. I played it again recently over the 4th of July, and I love the Resistance. It's a great hidden trader and who can be trusted game that's not hard, but it's all personalities and it's all bluffing and trying to deduce who can I trust. I love that game. Coup, which is a card game they produce, is also a lot of fun. Bluff and double bluff. Played that again tonight. I love Coup. Coup's an amazing game. So that's Indie Boards and Cards. Resistance Avalon, Coup. They're all great games. Check it out. Number 10, IDW. Now, IDW was a comic book company, and they've begun producing board games, and they've been able to do it quite well, quite successfully. My favorite game that they produced, and I think it was produced overseas, and they distributed it here in America, but that is Machikoro. Machikoro is a great Japanese game of kind of building a city within with cards. And you roll a dice, and depending on what you have in your city, your dice may get you money from the bank. It may force you to pay money to other players. You can steal money from other players, and you're trying to get enough money to kind of build these monuments. The first one to build all the monuments wins. It's a fantastic game, and the Harbor expansion makes it even better. So I definitely check out that game. But Fire and Axe, also from IDW, was really cool. It's a Viking game. You're sending Viking armies out all over Europe and the Middle East and Africa. I really enjoyed it. Very fun game, Fire and Axe. I also enjoyed the game, which is just a card game, very light game, where you're trying to do numbers up and do numbers down with cards, but you run out of cards. Fun game. So IDW games, good stuff. Mayfair Games. Well, what can you say? You got the old standby Catan. I love Catan. It's a game that's fun. It's even more fun when you play with some of the expansions, but it's a great gateway game for players. I've gotten a lot of people involved in gaming through Catan. After Catan, Isle of Skye, which recently came out, is a fun game. It's kind of a tile placement game. You're trying to, depending on how you lay the tiles, is how you're going to score. But there's different kind of scoring mechanisms for each time you play. That's very fun. It's a lot like Carcassonne, but I think it's better than Carcassonne. So you might want to check that one out. That is Isle of Skye. Also, too, I'm still a sucker for Downfall of Pompeii. It's the one with the volcano and the people trying to leave the city. You get little cubes trying to get out of the city as fast as they can. It's a very fun game, very kind of morbid, but it's a very fun game, Downfall of Pompeii. But Catan still reigns supreme with Mayfair with me. Number 12 is a relatively new company. This was a company that was publishing history books and kind of a lot of information on uniforms and weapons and stuff in wars. And they recently branched out into board gaming. This is Osprey Games. Osprey has put out some pretty fun things just in the last year or so. Probably my favorite is probably The King is Dead, which is a game where you're in medieval England, and the various factions are trying to take over England, and you kind of don't care which faction wins, but you just want to make sure that you're kind of positioned where you can capitalize on it. Very fun game, really light, but really quite fun and engaging. Also, too, They Come Unseen, which is kind of about submarines during the Cold War, U.S. submarines sneaking into a Russian naval base, going up against Russian destroyers. It's a very fun cat-and-mouse hidden movement game. If you like Fury of Dracula, it's or Letters from Whitechapel, it's kind of similar to that, but it's with this historical theme, and it's a very fun little game. Also, Odin's Ravens, which is kind of a reprint of an earlier game where you've got ravens racing along these carts. Very fun as well. So Osprey Games, some really good stuff here just in the past year or so. Next up is Privateer Press. Privateer Press has come up with some really fun games. They're perhaps best known for War Machine, the minis game, and what have you. But I'd have to say my favorite game from Privateer Press is Level 7 Omega Protocol. Level 7 Omega Protocol is kind of a dungeon crawler, and I have to say it's probably my favorite dungeon crawler. I really like it. I like it because thematically, the aliens that the humans are fighting they feed on fear. So every time a human takes an action, they have to spend adrenaline. But they don't just throw it into like an adrenaline bank. Rather, they give that adrenaline to the bad guy. And the bad guy, the chief alien, then, he goes ahead and he takes all the adrenaline, and then he can spend it to attack the players. So every time you're going to take a move or do something in that game, you're thinking, well, I'm making him more powerful. Do I want to do this? It'll help, but it'll make him more powerful. And it's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant game. I really like Omega Protocol. They also did Level 7 Invasion, which is kind of continues the story, but it's kind of a writ large thing where you're the different governments of the planet trying to defend the Earth from an alien invasion, and it's quite clever. It's very fun. I really like Level 7 Invasion as well. Of course, they do the High Command, the deck builders, the High Command games as well. A lot of fun stuff. That's Privateer Press. Next up is TMG, Tasty Minstrel Games. TMG's put out a lot of fun stuff as well. I'd have to say my favorite game from TMG is probably Cthulhu Realms. Cthulhu Realms, it's kind of based on Star Realms, a deck builder, but it's not just a two-player, it's multiplayer. Very fun game. Very, very fun interactions you can have in that game. Fun and interesting things you're doing as you're building your deck there. I really like Cthulhu Realms quite a bit. I was also a big fan of Gold West. Gold West is a kind of a Euro where you're, the theme is you're mining, you're prospecting in the Old West, but the reality is the theme is very, very light. The theme's kind of pasted on, but nevertheless, it's a fun game where you're trying to best each other in different ways. You can get points. It's a victory point salad game, but it was very fun. So that is Gold West, and what was that other one by them? Oh, Bomb Squad. I played Bomb Squad recently. That was a fun game where you're using robots to try to free hostages and take out bombs, and everybody can see your cards but you, and you got to try to help each other to beat a timer. So that's a very fun game as well. Tasty Minstrel Games. Toward the end of the list, Upper Deck. Upper Deck, of course, has developed the Legendary game. You've got the Legendary, and I don't know, I'd probably say my favorite of the Legendary games is Alien. I think I like the theme of that the better, and I think the game just, I don't know, flowed, I think, the best there as well. So I really, really, really like the Alien Encounter, Legendary Encounters Alien game quite a bit. I also like the Predator game. I like that because that's also got the competitive version of it. And of course, you still love the superheroes with Marvel. That the stuff they're coming out with Marvel constantly with Legendary, a Marvel deck building game is fascinating, and it's always fun stuff. It's consistently good stuff, different, exciting, and new. So I really, really like all of these different Legendary games from Upper Deck. Finally, the last company on my list is Whiz Kids. And Whiz Kids has done some pretty fun things, but I'd have to say my favorite game from Whiz Kids is probably Dice Masters. I really have enjoyed the different sets of Dice Masters that have come out. I haven't kept up with it recently, but it's just every time I play Dice Masters, I got a big old smile on my face. It's just a fun, competitive game. And you got to play, of course, with people that are kind of forgiving, and they're not going to play out their just super mega powerful cards when you play. You're just playing for fun. I couldn't play it in a tournament or anything like that. I want to play it to have fun, not because I'm a bloodthirsty evil person. But I really like Dice Masters quite a bit. It's a great, great game. I also really like Star Trek Frontiers. Star Trek Frontiers came out here recently. It's based on Mage Knight, and it's a very fun kind of deck builder / board game where you're either Federation ships or Klingon ships, and you're going around the board. You're trying to fulfill different scenario conditions, but it's a lot of fun. I really like Star Trek Frontiers. I also like the Attack Wing, Star Trek Attack Wing, which is based on X-Wing, is a lot of fun, and the Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing, all really, really fun games. So that is 16 great companies and great games. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I just thought it might be fun to do for a change. Let me know what you think. Is there a company on this list that maybe I forgot that you think should have been on here? Or do you like my choices? Either way, I really do enjoy praise. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and ladies and gentlemen, it's always great to play games, but please, don't play games with my heart.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
So what do you think, Cody? I want to know. You know why? 'Cause I respect ya.